I had some doubts about Sadhguru. Even though I've always been a very spiritual person, not strong rejection, but just quiet questions. And instead of ignoring them, I decided to follow them. And that journey changed me more than I expected. My doubts were not extreme by any means, but I think they were very real. Is this spirituality or is it scale? Why is there so much visibility? Why is he everywhere? And how do I know what is genuine? And I think most of us are here, not disbelieving, but not fully convinced either. But the real shift didn't happen with getting answers to my questions. It actually began during a very difficult phase of my life, during the pandemic. I was actually stuck in a different country for nearly 2 whole years. And at the same time, my mom here got COVID. My house got robbed. And I couldn't do anything about any of it. I remember feeling extremely helpless, physically distant, emotionally drained. And that's when spirituality stopped being something that I liked and became something that I really needed. And somewhere in that phase, Sadhguru's talks became a constant for me. Not as a belief, but just something that helped me stay steady. And slowly, my inner state started shifting. But I still had some nagging questions. And one of the biggest ones was, is this more a business than spirituality? And I understood why people feel that way. Because anything at that scale, global reach, structured programs, would tend to look commercial from the outside. But when I looked at places like the Isha Yoga Center as an insider, the volunteers, the scale, the systems, just the sheer number of people eating there, it started to feel a little different. Not commercialization, but as a structure enabling scale. And there was another thing that I noticed. At times, Sadhguru can come across as a little condescending. And I understand why that puts people off. But over time, I started seeing it a little differently. Not as condescension, but as a certain kind of directness. Almost like there's no attempt to soften the message. And I think that's where it can feel uncomfortable to people. Because we're used to things being explained gently. But sometimes truth isn't presented that way. I didn't always agree with the tone, but I stopped reacting to it and started listening to what was actually being said. And then there's the most sensitive topic. His wife, Vijay Kumari Jaggi. Now this is something that should make you pause. It definitely did for me. So I looked into it a little more carefully. And what I found was there's absolutely no proven legal conclusion. There's different interpretations and there's accounts that are varying depending upon belief systems. So I didn't rush to judge. I just stayed aware. And I accepted that not everything fits into a clear, immediate answer. And same with the environmental controversies. Land use, ecological impact, elephant corridor. And at the same time, initiatives like Kaveri Calling, Save Soil, Rally for Rivers. So again, it didn't feel black and white. It felt very layered. And somewhere through all this, my focus shifted from analyzing everything from the outside to asking, what is my experience of this? And at that point, I felt like just listening wasn't enough. So I decided to try something for myself. I started with inner engineering, just out of curiosity. And I did notice a shift. I started to become way more conscious, in how I was thinking, how I was reacting, even my actions, they were all happening consciously. And even physically, simple practices like the pranayam helped me because I've actually had an allergic rhinitis issue for a very long time. And I started to see a big difference in my breathing. And later, I decided to go for the Bhavaspandana. And that experience made things feel much more real to me. Not dramatic, but I remember I came back feeling more settled, more connected. And that's when this stopped being something I was exploring and became something I was truly living. And honestly, that feels like something that's worth exploring at least once in this lifetime. And that's been my journey from doubt to devout. If you're somewhere in between, not doubting completely, not believing completely, I'd really like to know, what's your biggest question right now? Let's go on this inward journey together. Let's spectre with Ekta. Until next time, bye-bye.